Okay, so now we're going to assemble the swing. We've got our slats made. What we're going to do before we assemble it is pre-drill, mark and pre-drill our holes. I've already pre-drilled these 3 slats. And the way you mark these is on each end, we're going to come in 1 3/4 inches. So you set your gauge to 1 3/4 inches. Using your glasses where you could actually see. And then put it on the end here and just mark it in the middle. Do that on each end. This is a 4-foot swing, so it's easy. You just have one mark in the middle. You'll measure from here. These slats are 4 foot long. You measure from here to here, 2 foot, 24 inches. Mark that. Okay. Then you'll take a number 10 countersink with the bit where it goes all the way through the wood, like that. And then you'll just drill this just like that. You gotta be careful not to drill too far. You want it just enough where the screw head will be just a little bit below the surface. Okay, so now that we got all our slats pre-drilled, we're going to start the assembly on it. Now before we do that, we're going to have to mark 3 slats. And what we'll do is, as you can see here, I've already marked these. This is going to be our 1-inch overhang. These slats will hang over our seat supports one inch. So we mark 1 inch on each end. And then this measurement here, it's not 24 inch. 24 inch would be the center where the screw is. So 3/4 inch, it's 23 1/4 is what it is. It's 23 1/4 to mark that. And what that'll be is when you go to assemble it, that mark will be 23 1/4, and then it'll center. That way it'll be center of our seat support. So what I do is I set one up. We'll put our back slat on first. What I like to do is just go ahead and put the screws in before I actually fasten it. And then I also use glue. I had somebody ask me, why do you use glue when you got a screw? 2 reasons. This is when you fasten something into a piece of lumber. If you go through this way, the screw will tighten up through the grains a lot better. but if you're going to the end grain or the end surface, it tends to splinter up and not grab as much. So that's one reason I use glue. The second reason is anytime you have an exterior piece of lumber where two pieces go together, since it's going to be outside, that's going to create moisture in between these two pieces. If you put the glue in there and bind them together, there's no chance of moisture getting in there. And moisture is the enemy. Moisture will it'll rot, and it'll make your product deteriorate quickly. So it's just an extra added thing. So we'll put our glue on there. Okay, now you can see where our mark comes in line. That's our 1 inch overhang. Here's our center one. Okay, so that's that. Now we'll just take and rotate it up. And then I like to put this one on the front first. Right, so put our glue on. And then I also use stainless steel screws. They're a little expensive, but they won't rust and they'll last a lot longer than non-stainless steel. Okay. Line this up here with our line. Over here, making sure our overhang is marked there. Okay. Then what goes next is our back piece here. Okay, now what I like to do on this is we want this distance here to be the same distance as we got here. So we'll put on one side. We'll fasten it. And then we'll measure it. Okay, it's right at 15 and 13. So we'll move this over here to the same distance. Mark it. And then we'll just adjust this in or out according to our overhang. And then keep it on that line we just made. Okay. Check this here. That's absolutely perfect. You have to move this over a little bit right there. Alright, now we won't have to mark any of these other ones with the overhang because I'll show you how to do that without having to mark each one. What we do want to do is we want to square our swing up. It could be out one way or the other. And what I do is I'll measure from here to here. It's 50 3/4. Here to here. It's 51 1/2. So it's out. So what you do is you take 50 1/4, 51 1/2, and what's half of that? It'd be 50 7/8. So let's make it 50 7/8. Look at that, it was a 1/16 off. Okay. Okay, and then it's very easy to do. You can pull these together or pull these together to make it square. But that's how you do it. You want this measurement to be the same as that measurement, and that way it'll be square. Okay, before we put on the rest of the slats, at this point we're going to go ahead and put on our arm supports. Okay, and the way you do that is slide it down through here, and what you want to do is you want to make sure this is all the way down on your table. If there's a space there, take a clamp and put it on here. That way it'll be right. This clamp actually helps hold it when you drill it together. Okay, we've already got our seats, our arm support pre-drilled. So all we have to do is put it up here, and it goes to the back of this, laying flat on the table, pushed up to the back of this first slat. 1/2" bit and just drill it through. See how that clamp makes it where the swing don't move around? You can drill it. Alright. Now we just got to put our 2 bolts in there. And tighten them up. Now here we go again. These are some stainless steel bolts. Stainless steel washers with a stainless steel nylon stop nut. If you use something without the nylon stop nut, they'll loosen up and they'll become a problem. These bolts are 3.5 inch long, and that'll be on the material list that comes with the plans. But that's why I make this video, because a lot of the plans doesn't show you a lot of these details on assembly and stuff like that. So that's why I'm making these. Okay, that's it. Okay, I went ahead and put on our other arm support, and now we're going to finish putting on our slats. What we'll do is we'll roll this up. We're going to put on our front slats. Remember, when you're using this glue, if any of it oozes out on the side and you don't wipe it off, if you try to stain that area, it won't accept stain. The glue will block it from keeping this, from the stain to set in. So just keep an eye on it. These are fairly easy to install, the ones on the front. All you have to do is line them up with the ones that's already on it. Okay, as you can see, I didn't pre-drill this one. The reason being is this one here hangs on the end, and you want to drill the screw at an angle. So what you do is you line it up where it's going to go, and then while it's sitting here, drill it in at an angle like that. You gotta be careful with this impact gun. This impact gun, it will strip the screw out if you keep pressing the trigger on it. So you gotta kind of be easy with it. And watch when your screws, when your screw gets to where you want it, you let off of it. Okay. What it's going to take next is our two short ones that goes in between our arm supports. So they're cut short. Then the rest of them go on. There's 11 slats that go on the seat and 10 slats that go on the back. Now before I put any of these on, I'll line the holes up about where they need to be, and then I'll take my spacer and I'll check and make sure that my spacer is correct. Every once in a while I'll need a different spacer, a different thickness. Okay, that'll work. It's always good to double check before you go ahead and start screwing them. Then you get to here, and then next thing you know, you don't have the correct spacing. But so that's basically what you do. Then I'll do two at a time. I'll put screws in for 2 slats. You might say, why don't you put the arms on now that you got the arm supports? Well, when you go to put these screws in here, your arm's going to be right here, and it's going to be in the way when you're putting the screws in. So I like to put it on after I get the bottom seat done. And always work from one end to the other. Don't put this screw in and then this one and then try to move this. It's a whole lot easier to move this before you put that one in, because these things ain't perfectly straight. See, like right here, I got to push this one out. Okay, now this next one we're going to have to use our spacer that I made for the end, for the overhang. What it is, we have a 1-inch overhang here, so I cut a block that is 1 inch wide. So what I'll do is I'll start on this end. I'll put our slat spacer in. Then I'll take this block and flush it up with that. And once I get that, screw it in. Okay. And then basically that's what you do the rest of the slats. See how over here this is narrow? So you just push it open to fit your spacer in there. Okay. We don't need to check our spacer on this side because we know it's already 1 inch. All we have to do is one side. Start your spacer from the same side, and then whatever this is, it's the same on each side. You don't need to double check it after you screw it in there. Okay, so basically you do that for the rest of these. Okay, so now that we got our seat slats put on, I like to, at this point, put the arms on. So I made this jig. This is not on the plans, so I'll show you the measurements and everything for this jig. All it is a 2x4 that I've made, and it's 11.5 inches. Okay. So what I do is I put, and I got a hole drilled here to accept the bolt, the nut on the bottom. Okay, so you put that in there like that. And then I'll take a clamp and then I'll clamp it on. And what that does is it holds this like that until I'm done working on it. Okay, now we've already made our arm. What we want to do is we want to come here. Now, here's another thing that's on the plans. You could take and use on the patterns that come with the plan. There's a drawing that shows you where to cut this out. I like to do it, just make the arm and don't cut this piece out until I actually mark it, because it's more accurate if you do it that way. There's a lot of things that could be variables for this. It's best to do it this way. So I'll make this 3 inches over here. I'll check that first. And then I'll take my fingers and just feel this and make sure it's about center way of our support. Alright. Now I'm looking at this. This doesn't line up very good, so I'm going to take a pencil and try to mark it right there. Okay, then we'll take that and put that on the bandsaw and see if it'll fit better. Okay, I like that. Alright, that's where it's actually going to go. So now that we got that fit and this centered here, we got our 3-inch overhang. I'll take a very sharp pencil and hold this down and mark where we're going to router this out. Okay. Something like that. Okay, and after I get that, I'll place it here on the table and take another clamp, and we're going to clamp that to the table. Now, because we're using a decking board that's only 1 inch thick, I'm only going to set this depth to 3/16 instead of 3/8. On the plans, it'll show you using a 2x6 and planing it down to 1 1/8, I believe. This is another option that you can do. I like this better because you can buy these boards already this thickness. You don't have to plane it down. So this is a double fluted straight shaft bit. Has blades on both sides. I like it. This one's really worn out. Need to get a new one really. Okay. Get on there. I can feel it pop right in. Awesome. Okay, next we're going to mark our hole, and here we go again. On the plans, it'll show you where to drill this hole on the pattern. You can do that. It'll work. This is a little more accurate. So what I like to do is mark this right here. It's 3 1/4. So we're gonna go center way of that. That would be 1 5/8. So we'll mark that 1 5/8. Then I'll take a square and I'll hold it up here. What that is, it's a reference point to where I could drill the holes and the bolt will be straight in there instead of, you know, crooked. So after we mark that, we'll take it off. We know our hole is going to be in the center. I just take a pencil and I eyeball where the center is on both parts. Okay. And then our next move is to take a 5/8 paddle bit. And we're going to be pre-drilling for our washer. There's a washer that goes on the bolt, and this will help seat the washer flat into the arm. And what I'm doing, I'm looking at that line and I'm holding my drill and parallel to this line. And that's what you do. You just want to go in deep enough where that flat washer will lay flat on there. Okay. Then we're going to put in, now we're going to put our 1/4 inch bit in our drill. Uh-oh, battery going dead. Try this one. Okay. So here we go. I'm looking, when I'm drilling this, I'm looking for that line. I like to drill about halfway and then flip it around and drill the other side. Like that. Okay, and then we'll put it back on here. Okay. And then we'll drill this hole here. Take it off. Now we're done with our little support here. We won't need this anymore. Take that off. And then same thing. We don't want to drill at an angle or anyway. You want to go straight through. Okay. All right. Now we're going to pre-drill our holes for our arm support. The way I do that is, first of all, I mark it on the bottom. It's 3/4 of an inch each way. Okay. Then I'm going to take and pre-drill it with a 1/8 inch bit. Put in our, this is a number 10 or 3/8 inch countersink. We got to be careful here. We don't want to go too deep. We want to go about 3/8 of an inch deep. just enough for a wood plug. Okay. We're going to put our stainless steel screws in. Grab a bolt. And what we'll do is we'll start our bolt through the arm, like that. I like to start it about that much through there, and stick it in the hole, and that should line up perfect. Okay, then I'll flip it up like that, and we'll hit this with some glue. This is real important because these screws are going in end grain. They don't really hold good by going in end grain. That's why I made this, where it seats down around that. It's a better joint. It's more quality of product. If you put on a lot there, when you go to screw that on, it'll go down around and lock into this and bond a lot better. Okay, so we'll put that on. We'll pop that in place. And then again, making sure you don't over tighten these screws. It's very easy to do. Okay, that's it. Now we got to put our fluted plugs in. These are fluted plugs. They got little grain grooves in them. That's to accept this glue. This one's kind of defect. It's got a side. Never fails. Try to do a video. Okay, this one's a lot better. just give them a little tap with a hammer. Then after that glue dries, we'll come back and we'll cut these flush and sand it down. And then you do the same thing for the other arm. It's identical to what we just did. Okay. What we're going to do now is cut off our wood dowels and sand it down. This one's already done, obviously. So what I use is this multi-tool cutter. Try to get them as flush as you can with this. That way you don't have to sand it as much. And you have to be a little careful, because if you get tilted one way or the other, you'll gouge that arm up. Then after I do that, I'll hit it with my sander. Okay, that's that. Alright, next is, this is part of my design that you won't see anywhere. These are the rails, one that goes underneath the swing all the way underneath it, one goes all the way underneath the back or behind it. A lot of people will build a swing without using these. You can still do that. You can mount an eye bolt here and one there and do away with this. I personally like putting this together with the two boards because I think it's a lot more quality, and it makes the swing last a little bit longer, and it'll keep it, especially on a larger swing, it'll keep the swing from bowing right here. But on that note, here it is. These are just two 2x4s that are cut to length. We've already marked our areas where we're going to drill our hole for our eye bolt. So that's what we're going to do. I got this heavy duty 1/2 inch drill that I use instead of the cordless, because those aren't quite as powerful for this. And it's a 3/8 inch brad point, and you just put that point on your mark. That's our bottom one, and then the one for the back gets drilled in this way. I like to go halfway through, then flip it around and do the other half. drilled out real good. Okay. Next step, I'm not even going to show you how to do that because it's so simple. What you do is you run this through the router table with a 3/8 inch round over and just do all the edges. Okay, so after you round all the edges on the boards, we're going to come to our eye bolts. Now, here's the eye bolts that we're going to use. As you can see, I've already opened this one up to receive the chain. When you buy the eye bolts, they're bent all the way shut where you can't get the chain in there. Now, you could bend these open like I do. I like to do that because, one, you won't have to buy this. And two, I don't like the idea of how it looks. I mean, you got that and then your chain. I just don't like that. I think it looks a lot cleaner with the chain just going directly to the eye bolt. But, so if you want to save some money and don't buy those, I'll show you how easy it is to open this thing up. And to do that, I just get a cold steel chisel, concrete slab, throw it on the slab, like a 2-pound hammer, 2.5-pound hammer. And that's it. I just saved myself some money. Now, is that going to weaken the eye bolt? No. I've been building these things for over 30 years using it like this. It has no weakness effect to it at all. Okay, so now we're going to mount our back support and our seat support. What I do, since I build these quite often, is I've got these blocks that I use to hold it in the right position. Since this isn't on the plan, I'm going to go ahead and tell you what this is. These are nothing more than a 1x4 cut to 7¼ inches. And what you do is you butt it to the top slat here and then put your clamp on. And then we'll set our board in there here, show you how. And this right here is nothing more than a 2x. It's an 1.5 inch block that will sit there on both sides, and it makes it a whole lot easier. So what we'll do is we'll put our bottom one on like that, and then we'll put our back one on. Like that. Okay. Now we got those in position. All we got to do is center them up, measure it. Make sure it's in the center. Okay, and then we have our drill bit here. We're going to pre-drill. Now here's something else that's an option. These are not on the plan. These are ceramic coated construction lag screws. I've switched to these instead of using this is too long obviously, but this is a lag screw. This is what it is shown to use on the plans. They're a little bit more difficult to install because you have to put a wrench in them. And these are ceramically coated, so I like them. It's a better quality product, and it's easier to install. So that's why I use these. If you want to measure, you can. I don't measure because I can sight the center of it. I don't really need to do that. But if you want to, you can measure and make sure it's in the middle and whatnot, but I don't. I know I got to go in the middle of here, and I know I have to go in the middle of this, so I just eyeball it. Pre-drill it. That's it. Basically, we're going to do the same thing on the back support. Jack, you wouldn't get right in the way, would you? Come on, buddy. Move. Would you move? Do the same thing here. We'll center our forward. I like to put one in at first and then the other two. That way this doesn't move when you're trying to drill the other ones. Okay, here's something that's not on the plan. I'm going to make a separate free instructional video of how to build this. I don't think it justifies making a plan where you have to purchase for it. It's a drink holder. Okay, it's made out of nothing more than your standard treated fence pickets. It's 3 pieces. I've already had this assembled and put together, and I'm going to show you how to mount it to the swing, which is very easy. I've pre-drilled 5 holes here, and then what I like to do is start the screws. 4 holes. Correction, 4 holes. And then I have a spacer here. Let me get you the measurement on that so you know how to make that. And like I said, coming up I'll have a short video of this, how to make this little drink holder. Alright, we're looking at 1 7/8. Okay, it's just something to space it. And then what I like to do is use our glue here. glued and screwed. Okay, we'll just put it on there like that. What we want to do is make sure that this doesn't stick past the arm here. It's actually back about 3/8 of the inch. These are 1¼ inch screws. You have to be careful not to drill all the way through the arm, obviously. And that's it.